All right, boys and girls, it is a solo episode today. And I actually feel like this podcast is going to be really interesting for quite a few of you. It probably will not be one of our most downloaded podcasts, but I assure you, if you are someone who has followed me a long time or has listened to this podcast, you're probably very curious about what I'm actually about to talk about. And I prepped quite a bit. Hopefully, I can read the chicken scratch. If you're watching this over on YouTube, hi, me talking to my camera again. But you can see that I have taken notes, my chicken scratch notes, but I've actually been looking back through like 3 years of notes in order for me to record this podcast today. And the topic, the idea for this podcast came to me when I was on a walk and I was just thinking about my coach, Lacey. And I was thinking about her because we haven't had a call in a little while. So just to be very transparent, I worked with my coach for over 3 years, just a pinch over 3 years, and I'm not working with her full time anymore. We're now doing intensive sessions whenever I need the support. But I wanted to really talk about, I can tell you exactly why I'm not working with her full time anymore. After 6 years of been doing this and getting really clear on the only thing that I do in my business, which is one-on-one coaching and my podcast. And I'm so glad that I'm here. I'm so happy and content with exactly what I'm doing in my business right now, that I don't really need a ton of support in business right now because everything is so streamlined. Like even my assistant, I don't need my assistant as much as I needed my assistant in the beginning stages of my business. So all of that to be said, it has nothing to do with my coach. I am still using her for when I need that. I am not switching. I am not trying to bounce around and find this magic pill. I know I am the magic pill. All that to be said, I found a coach that I really like. Even though we are not exactly the same in a lot of ways, even though we are very different in some ways, we are very aligned with wanting to help another human. And I think she's one of the best in the business. And, she has a extremely long wait list for her one-on-one coaching. And I kind of want to talk today about all that she has helped me with over the years. And I'm using a personal example because, I can come on here and tell you all the ways that I've helped my clients, and all of those ways would be very true. But I think it would be really helpful for you to hear from me on why I decided to pay a coach. And went back, looked through our notes. And by the way, the coolest thing ever is going back to look through my notes. So for myself with my coach, Lacey, she has it all in a program, but it's called the assignment. And so I went back and looked through literally pages and pages and pages. I was going to try to add them up because there's no like grand total for like, there's 600 assignments in here or whatever it was, but pages and pages and pages of assignments, like little notes that she gave me. My clients get the exact same thing. So I was looking at one of my clients that I've been working with for over 3 years, and on that page, there was over 56 pages in a Google document of notes. I call them action items. So she calls them assignments. I call them action items. So it was really cool to be able to go back and look at all of the assignments over the past 3 something years. We're just going to call it 3 years. I started working with her in late 19. And we moved away from the full-time coaching early 2023. So roughly 3 years. All of that to be said is, Lacey has literally hundreds of people on a wait list to work one-on-one with her. And I thought it would be really helpful for me to talk about how much she has helped me and how much, on average, I was paying her roughly. I looked at how much I paid her for the grand total. On average, I was paying her about $30,000 a year to work with her. And now your mouth might drop and be like, oh my gosh, that's nothing. Or your mouth might drop and say, oh my God, I can't believe that you're doing that. All of that to be said, I do not regret a fucking dime. And if that number was 50,000, I would not regret a dime of it. If that number was 100,000, I would not regret a dime of it because it's got me to where I am today. And so I do want to talk about all of the ways in which she supported me, because I want you to hear from me how Not one of my clients pays me the amount that I was paying my coach. And yet I do not 100% regret a dime of it. And so I wanted to use my personal experiences today instead of using my clients. Obviously over the years of this podcast, if you're a new listener, welcome. You can go back and see I've interviewed hundreds of, well, not hundreds. I'm such an exaggerator. When it comes close to a lie, I'm going to stop myself. I have not interviewed hundreds of clients. There's only been like 150 something podcasts on here, but I've interviewed numerous of my clients over the years. So you can go listen to their stories, what they've gotten out of it, just hear their stories in general. But I wanted to give you today some of the things that I have done with my coach, so you can hear from me, from words from my mouth, on how having a coach and how my coach, and as much as I love Lacey, and I am probably going to send her this podcast because I want her to know how much she has meant to me over the years. But as much as, and I think Lacey would probably agree with this, as much as Lacey has helped me, I don't believe it is Lacey in that regard. And I don't believe it is me in that regard. And something I'm going to be talking about today that I think is really, really helpful for you to understand is your coach is not a savior. You are the savior of your life. You are the savior of your business. A coach is such an amazing investment and such a blessing for life and business. But if you are picking a coach because you think they are going to make you all this money and make you happy and save your business and do all the things, I believe you're sadly mistaken. And I would tell any one of my clients that my job is not to fix it. My job isn't to make you millions of dollars. My job is to help you decide it's your turn and to help you get clarity and to help give you the strategy and work through the mindset and come up with what is best for you. I think anything that you're doing in life, if you are looking at, this is kind of a weird example, but I heard this on a podcast the other day and I'll use it. We have a presidential election coming up next year. If anyone looks at the person that they're voting for to save the world, you're fucked. Like, we, the American people, are the people who have to come together to save and to change and to make this country better. There is not anyone, left, right, front, center, Biden, Trump, whomever it's going to be. No one is going to save anyone. It is going to be a collective. It is going to be a person taking personal responsibility for their actions, for themselves, in order to help the collective. And in your business, and I believe that to be true, and in your business and in your life, and I'm going to talk today about how, Lacey brands herself as a business coach. I brand myself as a confidence and success coach, a performance coach. But if you are looking at this as just one aspect, I think you're off. Lacey, I'm going to give examples of how 100% a lot of our calls were personal. 100%. They had to have been. You cannot do life and business without one or the other. And I believe that she would agree with that. And I would also agree that, and maybe I'm wrong, so Lacey, call me out if you think I'm wrong, but I don't think Lacey thinks that she is like the savior is going to fix everything. She has hundreds of people on her list and that are on a wait list to work one-on-one with her. And if I were to guess percentage wise, I'm sure 50% of those people think that she's got some fucking magic pill in her pocket that is going to create this $1 million business. As many people that have been so successful working with Lacey, I'm sure there's been just as many people that fucking aren't. And I'm not calling out Lacey. I'm calling out myself in general. I'm just calling it out in general. If you are picking a coach, whether it be me, whether it be Lacey, whether it be anyone else on the planet, if you're picking that person because you believe that person has this magic fucking pill, I promise you're going to be sadly mistaken. Obviously, do your due diligence. Obviously, there are much better coaches than others, for sure. That is 100%. There is some people that are totally out of integrity. And the one thing that I can say about Lacey is that I've always appreciated how integrous she has been. And that's something that like is my core value in life and in business is integrity first. And she has always shown up to that. So that is obviously a big part of it. But I do not believe in any form or fashion myself, Lacey, or anyone else is going to be the savior that you need. You are the savior. Pick someone to help you along that journey. But today's podcast is really going to be kind of like all of the things that I have literally have pages and pages of things that I have used my coach for over the years that have got me the business and the life that I really enjoy. I want you to hear all of the highs and all of the lows and all of the things that I have worked with my coach with. And I will assure you, I can't assure you because I've never been on, the calls with Lacey and her other clients, but I probably get a lot more personal stuff I think than Lacey does. Lacey's definitely branded as a business coach. I am more of the confidence, the mindset, and the business. So I do believe that I probably, and maybe she'd agree with this, maybe she wouldn't, but again, she doesn't know that I'm doing this. I am going to probably share this, not probably, I'm going to share this with her because I think it will be an homage to how much that she has helped me over the years. But I really want you to put yourself in this story. If you have ever been curious about hiring a coach, if you've ever been curious about like, what does a coach actually do? And I think it'll be really helpful for you to hear some of the things that I have worked on with her over the last 3 years to see if this is something that you need. Because again, it does not matter. Like I promise you, hand on my heart, I would have paid this woman 5 times what I paid her in order to get to where I am. Like, you just have to be that bought in, or you should be that bought in. I want people to work with me who are that bought into this. I don't show up and do the things that I do every single day in order to move this business forward if I didn't truly 100% believe in what I do and how I help people. Most of who listen to this podcast or watch this YouTube channel is I don't have kids. Guess what? There's a lot of things I actually don't give a shit about in this world. I don't stand on my soapbox for a lot of the problems that are in this world. I don't really have a strong opinion when it comes to a lot of things. The thing that I do best is the bubble that I exist in. When I am dead and gone, I want people that have worked with me or people who know me in my close circle to know that this was my purpose. For the last 12, 13 years of life, this is my purpose. Helping people step into their God-given purpose, helping people become more confident, helping people literally decide it is their turn to live the life and the business that they desire. This is my mission. This is my purpose. I am not leaving. My husband and I always have like this problem. If we have a problem right now, this is our problem. He wants to leave a legacy. He wants something here with his name on it when we are dead and gone. He wants this net worth. He wants this building. He wants to leave that. And maybe that's a guy thing. But I honestly, if I'm being 100% transparent, I don't really care. I don't really care. I want people to know that I made a difference in the bubble that I exist in when I'm here. When I'm dead and gone, I hope that all of the people that I've impacted, it makes me emotional, remember that I made a positive impact in their life and their business, that I helped them decide it's their turn, that I was one of the people that helped that happen. And that's literally all I care about. I don't care if this podcast, listeners download this podcast when I'm dead and gone. I don't care if there's a building. I don't need to write a book. I don't need to leave my DNA. I am just so passionate about my bubble that I exist in right now. And it's why I show up every single day. And that's literally all I care about. So all of that to be said, I'm so grateful that I had a coach, and I'm talking with my hands a lot today. So if you're watching on YouTube, hopefully my nails look good, and they actually do. So there we go. And my shirt says Eric Clapton, so you probably can't see that. But all of that to be said is that's literally, and you're watching me cry on YouTube. If you're watching us over on YouTube, decide it's your turn, YouTube. Might as well plug that while I'm crying right here and trying to get my shit back right. But I want you to see kind of what has happened over the last 3 years, and I want to give my own personal example just in case you've ever wondered why you would want to coach and if it is worth the investment, because I'm not pretending $30,000 a year isn't a little number. I don't care how much money you have. It's a number. It's a big one. It's more than a lot of people make, but to me, it's one of the greatest, it is the greatest investment that I had made during that period of time. It got me to where I am today, not just in my business, but in my life as well. And I wanted to kind of talk about all the things that we went through together. And obviously, this is just hitting the high points. Like I said, when I was scrolling through the assignments that she had given me over the last 3-something years, there's literally hundreds. There's hundreds of assignments. And I wanted to kind of hit on some of them, but the main themes, and I'm probably going to bounce all over the place. And if this podcast isn't for you, well, then maybe please pass it along to someone that might need it, who's ever been curious about why they would invest in themselves, invest in coaching. But I will tell you, I think overall, the main thing that Lacey did for me is she pushed me. She pushed me to get better all the time. If you guys know me a little bit, or, if this is your first podcast, welcome. But if you have listened to this, 160 episodes or whatever we're at, you probably know I'm an extremely competitive person. You know that I'm a confident human being. You know that if I say I'm going to do something, God is my witness, I'm going to do it. But I think over the course of 3 years, one of the things that Lacey really did for me, and that I hope I do for my clients as well as she did for me, was push me into my best version, push me into my best self. I don't know if Lacey would agree with this. I'm sure she has other clients that are good as well, but I guarantee you, there isn't one assignment on that sheet that she gave to me that I didn't do. If there was probably a half a dozen or a dozen over the years that, like, she said it. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk about. Just because she's my coach, or just because I'm someone's coach, does not mean that they have to do it like all the things that we come up with. That's ultimately, again, goes back to the personal responsibility. There was a few things over the years for sure that she suggested or that we came up with that I was like, nope, that's not in alignment. And I had to trust myself on that. Whether it worked or whether it didn't, whether it lost me money or made me money is kind of irrelevant. I had to trust myself. But overall, all of the assignments she gave to me over the years, you bet your fucking ass I did it. Coaching is like the coaching part. It's not the doing part. Like, her job was never, and my job is never to do the things. Now, if I needed help, if I needed assistance, if I needed guidance, if I needed messaging, if all of those things, that's part of coaching. But my job as a coach is not to do the shit for you. That's your job. It's, let's get a clear strategy. Let's get clear on what you want to do. And then your job is to go fucking do it. And if you're hiring a coach thinking that they're going to do the work for you, you're probably going to be sadly mistaken. And if they do, they should probably come to me, because that's not what a coach does. And I will tell a person that your job is not to do the work for the person. Your job is to help them get clear, come up with a strategy, and then hold them accountable to doing it. Lacey, she never really had to hold me accountable. There's a few clients I had and have over the years that I'm like, okay, this was an action item. I call them action items. This was an action item. You didn't do it. What is coming up here that you're not fucking doing this? And we have to figure that out. I love working with the clients who are just like, action item, check, action item, check. But also, I know that I attract people who do not have enough confidence or aren't clear enough. So my job as a coach is to call them out on that. My job is not to be your best friend. Lacey's job was not to be my best friend. Lacey's job was to push me to my best self. Lacey's job was to help me get really clear on what I needed to do and then make sure I fucking did it. And that's what I do for my clients. And I think it's really helpful that that, like, what is your part of the pie? There's something that Lacey, I will always give her credit for this. And if you've listened to this a long time, or if you're one of my clients, or you're one of my future clients that I just don't even know you exist yet, there's something that she said to me, I would say maybe last year and a half ago. No, it was probably 2 years ago. I don't know. Time is irrelevant. She said something to me, because I am a person who wants my clients to succeed sometimes more than they do. And that hurts my heart, because I even still have like 1 or 2 clients that I'm like, fuck, I want this more than you. And that sucks because I can't want it more than my clients. I can't. And one thing that she said to me that will always stick with me, and I've used it 100 times, it's not my line. I've claimed it as my line now. And I can't speak for Lacey. I'm not really sure if she's a God person or not. I think she has some belief. She might call it a little bit different. But one of the things that she had said, she said, there's your job, there's the client's job, and then there's God's job. And that has been so powerful for me. And I have told that with my clients many a times. I know for 100% fact, I'm always going to do my job. I know for 150% that God is always doing his job. My job, I can't force my clients to do their job. As much as I want them to, I can't do that piece. And that was a huge helpful thing for me because I was always like, I was always thinking along the lines, especially in the beginning of my coaching business, like my clients' results were a reflection of me. That's not always true. Like I can't make someone do the work. Lacey couldn't make me do the thing. She could suggest it, she could write it down, she could try to hold me accountable, but ultimately that wasn't her job. And so that shift from, are you doing your job, Christina? God is doing his job. You have to release your client's job. That was super helpful over the years for sure. But going back to like what she did is, she pushed me into my best self. She pushed me in ways that I didn't want to be pushed, to kind of give you an example. One of the things that I think she really did really well in the beginning was she made me realize that I was playing small. And what I mean by that is, especially in the beginning of my business, I didn't want to share a lot of my personal life. I still don't do it. Maybe I still do need her full time because I still don't do it 100% the way I need to. I do it fucking much better for sure. But I also don't share as much of how good my life really is. I probably don't share how like successful I am in a lot of regards. I do, but I also don't. I teeter on, do I want to share? Do I not want to share? Do I want to share? Do I not want to share? And one of the things that she really helped me see was that like, I've done some awesome shit in this world and I've been pretty darn successful. And I think it's obviously in the beginning, especially, it was like a mindset thing, like not thinking that what I was doing was good enough and kind of being obviously like I came from a golfing world and I was, towards the end of my golf career, I was making like $10,000 a day, but I kind of felt like, was it out of integrity? Because, I was promoting myself as a business coach online. And I was also, I was not loving golf. And so I think for me, I felt like, gosh, do I share that? Do I not share that? Because I don't really love what I'm doing, but yes, I'm making money doing it. And I'm not making $10,000 a day doing this coaching business, but I am in golf. And she really made me see that, like, newsflash, there's a fuck ton of coaches out there that have never made fucking $10,000 a month in real life outside of the coaching space. They've had one, good launch and all of a sudden they're a business coach. And Lacey's like, you literally created your own business from nothing in multiple different fields, whether, all the things. And of course you should be using that. Of course you should be telling people that. Of course you should be able to say all the things that you've been able to do and what you've been able to accomplish. And she really pushed me, and especially in the beginning. And I try to do that with my own clients. Like I really tried to help them see, like, trust me, you're a badass and you need to talk about it. And I know it's intimidating and I know it feels like, gosh, is this real? But geez Louise, there's people over here that are fucking haven't done a quarter of what you've done, and they're telling everyone that they're the best. So that really helped me. That was a big thing that she pushed me into, especially in the beginning. And one thing that I always try to get better at, and it's a process. So if any of you are out there who are service providers and you're listening to the podcast or watching me on YouTube, messaging is something that takes forever. It really is. I wish I could snap my fingers and just say like, oh, this is your perfect message. This is exactly it. But messaging takes a long time. Messaging takes for you to kind of get like really dialed in on, and you guys know, I've always been you can listen to 150 episodes of this podcast and you'll always hear me say, this is a long game play This is long game play. This is long-term strategy. This is a long-term thing, because that's what this is. None of this shit happens overnight. But messaging, it's something that takes time. You have to learn your audience. You have to learn what their pain points are. You have to learn, what you can provide. You have to learn what you're best at. You have to learn how to say it. And that takes time. It takes getting clients. It takes doing it. It takes repetition. Like, so many people, especially in this space, want the fucking overnight success. I was talking to a person today who's like, well, I did this in this industry and I should just be getting it in this industry. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, you're going to have to put in reps. You're going to have to do things over and over and over and over. Something that I probably don't talk about on this podcast much, obviously, at any moment in time, you can book a complimentary clarity call with me. Well, what you might not know is that most people at certain stages of their business decide to no longer do these calls because they've got enough, or they don't have to do it anymore if it's a bad use of time. That all may be true at some stages, but let me tell you, over the last 6 years, oh God, I don't even know what it is because I've only been tracking it for about 2.5 years. But for the last 2.5 years, I have done over 300 free discovery calls, free clarity calls. So what that means is I get on a call with people, I learn what their problems are, I hear their stories, I can reflect back exactly what their pain points are, I can tell them exactly how I can help them, and then I can help overcome objections, right? Do you know how I've got good at selling people? I've fucking been on 300 clarity calls. I've been on 300 calls. Well, no shit, I'm better than most people. I've fucking done it 300 plus times, way more than that over the long run. But like, do you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I just think people are so crazy in the fact that they think that these things are just going to happen overnight. It's like, no, you get good at anything by doing it a million times, like when I used to play professional golf, how did I become, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my wink and smile, the world's greatest putter. By the way, I'm sure in 100 podcasts, you've heard me say that. Well, that's a mindset thing. Number one, I just always say that I'm the world's greatest putter because that's what I am. I'm such a good putter. And that's my belief that I'm such a good putter. So I brainwashed myself into believing that I'm a great putter. But how did I become a great putter? I fucking done it 10,000 times, and I've done it over and over and over and over and over and over. Everyone wants to skip the over and over part. Everyone wants to skip that part. There's no skipping that part. Every successful person who has done something 10,000 times is going to be better than you. And yet nowadays, everyone just wants to fucking skip that and hire a coach that's got some fucking magic pill. It ain't me. I ain't got the magic pill. Lacey, she ain't got no magic pill. Let me tell you, it's doing the fucking work. Like, that's the magic. And now you can enjoy it along the way. And that's one thing that Lacey had done. She was just such an instrumental person for me in enjoying the process. When I worked with Lacey, I was getting 3 calls a month, just like my full-time clients get with me. Unlimited access to me 24 hours a day, 3 calls a month. 45-minute calls. That was one thing Lacey helped me with too. Definitely in the beginning stages of when you're building your business, you have to figure out what you like. And I feel like what Lacey did was allow me to have the permission to trust myself. Like, I could pay $90,000, and I'll be honest with you, $90,000 to learn to fucking trust myself and enjoy the process, fucking hands down, where do we sign, right? Like, that's just one of the tiny small things that she's helped me with. But like, that's what I try to relay to all of the people who work with me is like, how do we like figure out what is so in alignment to you? How do we hold you accountable? How do we make you enjoy the process? Like, all of this combined is worth every cent. Like, when you boil it down, it is worth every penny to be able to do that. But one of the things that she helped me with is like, literally, I was fucking petrified in the beginning of my business to take a one-on-one call from an hour down to 45 minutes. So my clients get 45-minute sessions with me. And it's so funny because Lacey's calls were 45 minutes. And yet in my brain, I was like so fucking scared to go from 60 minutes down to 45 minutes. And here's the reason why. I was so nervous that people give a shit about 60-minute call versus 45-minute call. Clients do not give a fuck as long as they're getting the result after a 45-minute call. And by the way, like if I ever have to go to 55 minutes or 58 minutes or follow up on Voxer, we always do it. It's not about the time frame. And I just in the beginning, you just don't realize that. You just don't realize that like 60 minutes isn't the magic pill. The magic pill is getting the person the result, whether you can do it in 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 60 minutes, 75 minutes, whatever. But like giving me that permission, do you know how much easier that's made my business? And here's the reason why. I now, however many years later, I am on anywhere from, on average, 4 to 8 calls a day in my business. You guys, I call it, this is kind of funny. I call it the liqueur bitch bladder. This is definitely not from my mom. It's 100% from my dad. Me and my brothers both have it. We have a bitch bladder. And what that means is we have to pee all the fucking time. Well, I was literally making myself miserable, almost peeing my pants every single day. I know this is TMI in the beginning of stages of my business because I was so fucking afraid to have that like 15-minute gap. And sometimes it's 15 minutes now, sometimes it's 5 minutes, whatever. But I could pee and fill up my water. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I know that some of you are like, is that worth all the money? Trust me, that was worth the money. And let me take a glass of water for my bitch bladder. I promise you, that was one thing I just got from her. And it was like such an aha moment that I was like, yeah, I can take my calls from 60 minutes down to 45 minutes. And guess what? People are still going to sign with me because ultimately they're not signing with me because of the fucking 60 minutes. They're signing with me because I can get the client result. So Lacey just gave me the permission. And like, once she did, she's like, yeah, like you can totally do that. And it was like this, like, oh, like, thank the freaking Lord. But then, and obviously, I cannot point out all the things that have happened over the last 3 years, but like some of those littlest things are like fucking jaw-droppingly important. And unless you have a coach, like I could have gone on, like if I didn't have her as my coach, and maybe another coach would have told me that, but like if I didn't have that permission to be like, yeah, girl, take it down to 45 minutes and shit won't change and you'll be better off because you don't have to like throw up and pee because your like mouth is dehydrated and you feel like dog shit because you're trying to hold your bladder for 7 hours. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like the littlest shit that I think people just don't think about, that was like earth shattering. Plus, it's also like I can fit in like another couple people in the day. Like I was petrified to take over 4 calls in a row because I knew I couldn't hold my bladder that long. Again, so silly and yet so monumental. Okay, what else did she help me do? Okay, one thing for sure that was like so good is she helped, and I mean there was just so many things. Like Lacey, if you do end up listening to this, just like so grateful for you because you've really helped change my life and my business. And I'm so grateful. And I hope my clients can look back on their coaching relationship with me, no matter how long it lasts, whether it's the 6 months or whether, you know, it's some of my clients that are going on to 4 years. Like I'm so grateful. But one thing that she pushed me to do was start my podcast. You know, in the beginning stages of business, you are overwhelmed. I was overwhelmed. And how I got with Lacey, by the way, this is like such a God thing. I was in masterminds for a really long time. And this is the reason why this is one of the main reasons why I'm so passionate about one-on-one coaching is because in the beginning stages of my business, I was always in masterminds. So masterminds are like group coaching programs. I was always in group coaching programs. Learned a ton. So grateful for my group coaching programs. But there becomes a time where one-on-one support dialed into your specific business, your specific head, your specific life is literally life-changing. And so it was an assistant that I had 3.5 years ago that was like, hey, before you buy into that next mastermind, don't you think it would be helpful to have someone one-on-one in your business? And obviously, like, decide it's your turn. I talk all about confidence and making a decision, right? I remember where I was in Los Angeles at a mastermind when my assistant said, this woman, I've been listening to her for a while. I've been following her. She seems to be pretty good. I think you'd be in alignment with her. The minute my assistant said like one-on-one support, I was like, oh, fuck, that makes sense. Why don't I do that? Let's just see. And I almost like talked myself out of it. But I was like, nope, make the decision. So I made the decision, booked a free clarity call with her. And it was like right before she stopped doing calls because she was busy. Didn't know shit about her. Honest to God. I was literally sitting in my car. I looked at all of her stuff, basically rabbit holed it down. I think there's been people who have hired me along the lines of doing this exact same thing. But sitting in my car, probably 2 hours, the person sitting in their car on social media, that was me. Sitting in my car outside a hot yoga studio in California before the pandemic, way before 2019. And I went down the rabbit hole. I was like, this chick seems pretty good. Let me book a call with her. Booked a call with her. Promise you, and this is not a lie, I think I got the call with her like this part I can't confirm. It was like 2 to 3 days later, got the call with her, but I was sitting outside the hot yoga studio in California again, because I was still there. So I get on the call with her, take the call with her. It was very matter of fact. Even on that call, I learned a lot because I had not been doing, a ton of calls prior to that. She has been in business, I think let's just say 2 to 3 years more than I had. So she had done more calls. She had more reps, hence the reason to hire someone who's fucking ahead of you, right? And she did the clarity call with me. She did the call. She went through like, this is how I think that I can help you. Do you have any questions? And the one thing about her was she took a percentage of your business. And at the time, I think I was already making close to 6 figures. So I asked her, I was like, the clients that I already have, the money I'm already making, are you taking a percentage of that too? She's like, no. But I was still on the fence because I was like, gosh, do I really want to pay this person 10% of my income plus a flat fee on top of it? So immediately, again, quick decisions. Don't fucking sit on the fence. You get splinters in your ass. So I literally went through her Instagram. I like DM'd, I think like 2 or 3 people. I'm like, hey, do you work with Lacey? And funny enough, one of those girls is still my friend to this day, but didn't know shit about her. Do you work with Lacey? What is your experience? Do you agree with the percentage model? Both of the people wrote back, yes, work with her, really like her, don't look at it as bad. Well, Kim Argetsinger, she's already been on this podcast before. You can go and hear her. Kim was a client of hers beforehand. Kim was one of the people I randomly cold DM'd. Funny enough, Kim was an actress. And the way that she explained Lacey's coaching model, percentage model was, oh, I had an agent in acting. I looked at it as the exact same thing. For me, that was like a light bulb fucking moment. I, at the time, had an agent for golf. And I was like, oh, fuck, same shit, different pile, whatever. Cool. I don't mind paying this person. If she's going to bring me in business and help me grow my business, I don't mind to pay her. That day, boom, signed the contract and I was done. It was like instant decision. You guys, decision-making is like so easy when you trust yourself. I trusted myself to show up and do the work. I never looked at Lacey like she was going to solve my fucking life. I knew that she was a few steps ahead of me. I knew that I thought I liked her. It was a 6-month contract. The way that I always look at this now, and I don't know if I exactly thought about this 3 years ago, but I'm like, is this person getting me closer or further to where I want to be? And I knew in my soul that this woman was going to get me closer to where I want to be. Again, she wasn't my savior. I am no one's savior. I'm not going to fix everything for you. I'm not going to like give you this pot of gold and give you these secrets. But I knew she could help me get closer. I knew that I would show up and do the work because I also knew that was a lot of money to pay her, like a lot of money. So, and scared to death, but also knew that I had to do it, if that makes sense. Like it was both, right? Signed the contract, ended up starting with her. But that was just so helpful for me just to say that like, okay, I've made the decision. I'm going with this person. I'm going all in on this person. And I think when you do that, I immediately became more confident. I immediately became more clear. And I forgot where I was going with this, but that's how I met Lacey, just so you know. Going back to like what she pushed me to do. Number one, she pushed me to, oh my gosh, over the years, literally, she pushed me to do a podcast. Oh yeah, that's where I was going. In the beginning of your business, you're like overwhelmed, you're stressed. There's so many things you have to do. You don't really know what you're doing. You're not making the money you want to make. And she really helped me kind of dial it in. And I feel like that's really what I'm trying to help, especially my beginning stage people who are, in the beginning stages of building their business that want to build one similar to mine. Like, I mean, I did not start with Lacey having only a one-on-one model, which is so crazy. But now that I do, I don't do it the way she does it. But like in the beginning, I was doing mostly mastermind groups because that's what I knew helped people. And then it was one-on-one and all the things. But, along the way, Lacey's like, another avenue for you would be, because I'm not a writer. If you guys are subscribed to my email list, I have my assistant write that because she's much better at it than me. So if you want on our email list, please get on it. It's actually a really good email. We only send it once a week. The link is in my social media bio, or I'm sure you can find it in the show notes for the podcast. But all of that to be said, she told me, she's like, Christina, you're an amazing talker. People love your energy. Like, that's where you're most passionate. Hence the reason why we're now fucking starting to YouTube. Lace, why didn't you tell me that years ago? Maybe she did, but we started the podcast. She pushed me into. She pushed me into doing happy hours for all my clients. If you don't know this, my clients get happy hour calls. Like, it's so fucking cool. She gave me permission to start an elite mastermind. She gave me permission to start a network. She gave me permission to close the network. And when I say she gave me permission, but like, we talked it out, the pluses, the minuses, like, she has cried with me 1,000 times. One thing that I will tell you that I don't think that I did a good enough job with, and that she always pushed me to do, is to ask her for more help. I literally had action items: ask Lacey for help this week. And I had to fucking check that box, because I told you guys I'm a box checker. But like, I had to ask for help. I had to ask for the support. I've never asked for that in my life. Like, I've always been the person, like, I know, and childhood stuff or whatever, but like, I always knew that if I wanted something, I had to fucking do it myself. Like, I was going to figure it out myself. And like, she gave me some permission. And this is a mindset thing. This is a life thing that, like, you can't put a number on. She gave me permission to ask for help. Do you know how much this has helped my marriage? Do you know how much this has helped my friendships? Do you know how much this has helped in my business? Like, she allowed me to realize that I had been trying to do everything by myself, because that was one of my patterns. You know, what do I really do as a coach? And I've said this before, I help you literally change the patterns, habits, and stories that are keeping you stuck. And I had to realize that that was one of my patterns. Like, I am not very good at asking for help, and she forced me to ask for help. And I'm hoping that, like, I am good enough at seeing these things in my clients where I'm like, hey, I can see what you're doing here. I see your pattern. I know you want to break this. Let me help you break this. And if it's, for me personally, was like, I never wanted to ask for help. I always wanted to do it. Well, do you know how much that's helped my marriage? So you can think about this $90,000 over the last 3 years that I've paid my coach, but do you know how much it's helped my marriage? Do you know how much it's helped my friendships? Do you know, like, all of these things that I think people just like literally think about the number, and they do not remember, and they do not take into consideration how much it helps your life in general. Like, it is astronomical. And she really, I'm not perfect at it. I'm getting better at it, but she pushed me. She knew this is one of the reasons why too, I think long-term coaching support is fucking monumental, because that woman knew me. She knew to call out my shit. And I feel like I do the exact same thing with a lot of my clients who I've been on a really long time with, because I can see their shit. I can see where they're blocking themselves. This is the reason why people go from coach to coach to coach to coach. It's so silly, guys, because pick a person that, like, number one, you really are in alignment with, you think that they can help you, like, achieve the goal that you want to achieve, but also pick a person who's going to call you out on your shit. Like, my job isn't to be best friends with my clients. I'm very lucky to say that I now am, but also too, like, my job is to help them achieve their goals, not to be their best friend. And that's really where Lacey did a good job. We have a personal relationship still to this day. We text outside of, not a ton, but we text every once in a while outside of our coaching relationship, because I really do believe that she wants the best for me, but she's also going to call me out. She's going to call me out when I am playing too small. She's going to call me out when I'm staying stuck. She's going to call me out when I'm not asking for help. She's going to call me out when I need to have hard conversations. Like, she did that really, really well for me. And I hope I do that with my clients as well. You know, some of the things that we talked about over the years, tons of tears were shed, a lot of laughs were had. You know, I will say it's a lot of money per call. I'm not saying that it's not. But, and this is the same thing with a lot of my clients, I'd hope as well, it's a lot of money per call, but sometimes the best calls are the ones with zero agenda, and the ones where we just connect on a human level and we laugh, we cry, because that's part of it. Like, when I tell you, you cannot be successful without doing all of it, life, relationships, business, all of it together. That's the reason why, like, I am never going to say, I just help you with this, or I just help you with this. Like, one of the reasons why I hate life coach, but also it's going to be an all encompassing. And I think if you can be okay with knowing that sometimes the calls are just going to go the way that, for her, maybe universe, for me, God has us leading. Sometimes those were my best calls. Sometimes my absolute best calls were the ones that I came to the call with like zero agenda, and they ended up being the most instrumental, what else do I have here? Oh yeah, she helped me through a ton of like staff changes. Like I had an assistant one time, and I think I've talked about this on a podcast right before. I don't know if it's come out now, but by the time you hear this, it will. But I had an assistant steal from me. I have had people changing, like I've had to have hard conversations, and like I bounce it off my coach before I have hard conversations. I've had really shitty client experiences that I am bouncing ideas off of her, or getting her perspective on, or seeing it in a different way. Like, again, instrumental, probably has made me back so much money by having that support. And by the way, I do want to point out, even though I'm only now using Lacey for intensive sessions at like points during the year, I still have a therapist, because my business is so streamlined right now. Like, I only do one-on-one coaching. You can meet me in person, you can be in my membership, or you can work with me full time. This is all I do. In person or online, one-on-one coaching. It's all I do. It's what I believe in. I'm so passionate about it. But like, my business model is not that hard. In the beginning, when I had like 19 different things that we were trying to figure out and growing and starting and scaling, podcast, my network, my membership, my course, like, things have changed over the years. Things have pivoted over the years. And she helped me with all of that. Like, she gave me permission to start and to end my Decide It's Your Turn network. A lot of you don't even know that existed. It was like a community I was going to grow. I was really passionate about it, but I came to find out after 1 year, because I am not a person to quit anything. But after 1 year, I decided to shut that down, and it was in alignment. But man, it was fucking hard to start it, and it was hard to run it, and it was hard to shut it down. But she helped me really through that. Starting the podcast was big, and like hiring team and having hard conversations with team, having hard conversations with clients, pricing objection. Like, there was just so many things that she has helped me with over the years. And I'm hoping that like I can be of that service for my clients as well. What else? Hard conversations. She and I had hard conversations with each other. I hope my clients know that if we ever need to have hard conversations, that they can come to me and have a hard conversation. Like, one of the things that hard conversations that Lacey and I had over the years was the fact that like, I didn't really know a ton about her, and that kind of I didn't know how to open her up, and she didn't know how to support me in the way that felt the way that I needed to do it. Obviously, her and I's coaching styles are different and similar, and all the things, not one right, not one wrong, but like, that was a hard conversation we had to have, because I didn't know how to be vulnerable with her, because I didn't know if she ever had a bad day. Obviously, like, in my brain, I know that she's had a bad day. Fuck, she went through so many things, and I was afraid to be myself with her because I didn't want to hurt her. Again, that was self-sacrificing, and we had to talk through that. But those were all beautiful lessons that I got from her, and I was so grateful. And then I had to have hard conversations with her about having hard conversations with my team, and having hard conversations with Nathan, and having hard conversations with my clients. Like, it was just such a helpful tool to have her help me through that. Time off, that was a big thing too. One of my assignments from her was I was no longer allowed to use the phrase "I work hard." And I probably still do it every once in a while, but like, I had just this like mentality that like I was always going to outwork everyone. It was always going to be hard. And now, even still to this day, on this board in front of me where I keep all my clients, and I have a little prayer for my clients, ease. Ease and joy is something that I wanted. And I started that about last year, is that like, I wasn't going to use like, I work so hard. No, like, I do what it takes, but like, this can be easeful. This can be easy. And I learned that from her, and I'm super grateful that I had that. She really pushed me to share client examples. I wasn't great at that. Like, I had a client one month a few years back that made $300,000 in 1 month. And I didn't share it. Like, it was just, I just needed to be pushed there. I needed to have someone call me out. I needed to have someone help me do that. And that's really what she did a great job for me. She also was really good at helping me celebrate. I am a type of person, if you know me, I am a very driven, high achieving person, which a lot of my clients are as well. And I'm sure hers as well. But like, I forgot to celebrate a lot of the things. I forgot to celebrate my first like $100,000 month or my first sellout, or she helped me through one of the toughest times of my whole entire business, where I was doing a live event, and she helped me through COVID. There was just so many things. COVID was a boom in business, and yet that's a boom is a big deal too. Like, having someone there to support me, she helped me, like I said, she helped me close programs and open programs. She helped me come up with programs. She helped me with my messaging. She really helped me, like, honestly, with my life stuff as well. I was having a hard time with Nathan numerous times. Nathan and I, we have an amazing marriage, but there's a lot of things that I've worked through over the last 3 years, and having her kind of like reflect back what I do in business and what I do in my relationship. Again, not asking for help or just saying I can do it all by myself. Well, guess what? Newsflash, this is not a relationship type of podcast, but relationship advice. Do not tell your spouse that you do not need them. Like, that is the worst thing ever a husband can hear. If you are a husband, if you are a wife and tells your husband all the time that you do not need him, that is not a very good thing to say. As like, in the Bible, our husband 100% needs us. Like, they want to be needed. So do not tell your husband that you don't need them. And just like me in business, do not say that you don't need help when you fucking need help. And I need my husband. So she was really instrumental there to like call me out on that and say, hey, like, what are we doing? What is the mindset behind this? It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be softer. It's okay to do that. It's okay. And so for me, like, not saying that I don't need help, or, all of those things was really helpful. Saying no to her, saying no to Lacey a few times over the years. I think I said that in the beginning of this podcast, but like, I said no to a few of her suggestions. And I think that that's like an amazing thing. She's not God. I'm not God. Like, you ultimately know what's best for you. And I think that that was a really cool ability for her to always reflect to me, like, what are the options? And then for me to decide what is best for me. That builds my confidence. That builds my clients' confidence. And I hope and I pray I do that for my clients as well. I don't know what's best for my clients, but hopefully together we can figure out what is best for them. Oh my gosh. Yeah. One of the things that I said is I'm banned from saying I work hard because I wanted it to be more easy. This job, as much as I love it, you guys, and as much as I'm down the line, and I'm sure she feels the same. Again, I don't know a ton about, how she feels in business. The one difference between Lacey and I truly do believe is that I really want my clients, and I'm not saying one's right or wrong. Again, I paid this woman like $90,000 and I still respect the shit out of her and still use her when I need her, and have not switched to another coach. But one of the differences between, the way that I work with my clients and the way that she works with her, or my personal experience with her, has been the fact that, like, I let my clients be in the know with me and be very vulnerable with me. Like, I tell my clients, this is hard. I'm, like, again, Lacey told me I'm not allowed to say this is hard, but, I let my clients know that it's not easy. I use a lot of personal examples. She doesn't. And for me, it's just the way that I work. It's just, I want my clients to relate to me. I want my clients to know that I'm human as well. I want my clients to know that I don't have it all figured out. I still use support. I will always have support. I will always use her when I need her. I will always have my therapist. I'm always working on myself. I've joined different groups now. Again, I'm still sticking with the coach that I have because I truly do believe there isn't one person, but I'm always wanting to grow and learn. And I think that that's one thing that I like doing with my clients. I want my clients to know, where I was and that I'm still dealing with hard things. And I want my clients to know, parts of my stories. One of the things that she has helped me Lacey has helped me with over the years, and I hope I do this with my clients as well, is it's okay to brag on yourself and it's okay to break down. And that was one thing that I used Lacey for, especially at the end of last year. I had a horrible breakdown, like a breakdown for the ages. And I like sent her a message, and the difference between her and me is her 24/7 communication is typing. And that was the one thing I always fucking hated. So my clients have voice access to me because I'm a talker. I'm not a typer. And I feel like I'm on computer all day long and I'm on my phone all day long. I do not want to fucking type anything. So I'm always like, voice note me. I could voice note her in, a screen recorded voice note or whatever, but I like literally did. I sent her a voice note that I wasn't probably supposed to send in the way that I did. And I was just having a complete breakdown. And she really helped me through that. And it was a personal breakdown. And it was so silly. And she gave me permission to do something that I felt like I needed someone to give me permission for. And, that was a huge lesson for me. It was a huge vulnerable moment for me to use her through that. And I hope my clients know that I am there for them in that capacity as well, because again, this is like a life thing. So maybe life coach is a thing, but it's life and business. It's always going to be both. And yeah, she gave me permission to do what I wanted to do when, I almost needed that permission. I know I don't need permission, but like in that moment, as heavy as that felt, she gave me the permission to do the thing. And once I did it, and once I had her to kind of dump to, oh my gosh, it was so, so helpful. It was so, so helpful. And, even that, I just think back about that and I'm like, yeah, that's worth it. It's just worth it. So I could go on and on and on. I have so many notes here. It's just crazy, from business stuff to personal stuff to making my life easier to learning how to say no, learning how to be vulnerable, learning messaging, pricing, websites, all of the things. The moral of the story is a coach is one of the most beautiful things if you get the right person. And I'm so grateful that I got that old assistant to send me that message, that I decided that day that I sent that girl who was a former actor who's now a friend of mine, and all of the connections I've made through Lacey. Again, it's if you ever experience that relationship, whether it's with me, whether it's with Lacey, whether it's anyone, if you find the right one, it's literally invaluable. It is literally invaluable. And I know not everyone feels like they can invest that, what I was investing, like 30,000 a year. And by the way, a lot of her clients pay way fucking more than that, because a lot of her clients make way fucking more money than I do. But for me, like, even in the beginning, when that amount of money just felt so scary to invest, and obviously I didn't know that that's what I was going to be investing to work with her, I will tell you, hands down, I do it 10 times over. And I hope that my clients believe the same, whether they work with me for 6 months or whether they work with me for 10 years, whatever it is. I hope that every single person that works with me can say the things that I have said about Lacey, because it's unbelievable what can happen when you decide it's your turn. Obviously, I love that brand, but when you decide to go all in and when you have a coach supporting you, like, there is a reason why the highest achievers in this world have numerous coaches. Like, it gets you further, faster, and it makes you enjoy the experience. And I will tell you, the 3 years that I had Lacey full time, it made the experience so much better. Even during the dumpster fire days, even during the best days, I was so grateful to have her. And I'm hoping that my clients feel the exact same way. And I'm hoping this helped you if you have ever thought about having a one-on-one coach. Like, obviously, I could use client examples, but I wanted you to hear from my words about my coach, not about me, but about my coach, and how she has astronomically helped me, and how what I paid her was higher than anyone paid me. And I want that to be known, because I don't regret a dime of it, not a dime of it. I think it is the best investment anyone can make. If you get there quicker, you get there faster, you enjoy the experience, and you have someone walking side by side. Like, I put my money where my mouth is because I truly do believe it matters. So let me know if you guys enjoyed today's podcast. Let me know if you want any more like this. Go follow Lacey. If she's the coach that you want, get on her 100-person wait list or whatever it is, 200-person or whatever it is. She's great. I highly recommend her. I'm hoping that my clients would feel the same about me. And yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being here. Obviously, as you guys know, if you have any questions about a coaching relationship, you can send me a text message, 501-222-3362. Almost forgot it. 501-222-3362. You guys can check the show notes. Follow me over on Instagram at @bchristina. Thank you for watching the YouTube channel, the Decide It's Your Turn YouTube. If you guys have any questions, I am an open book. I thank you so much for being here. This is the reason why I exist, and I'm so grateful. Do not forget, at any moment in time, you can decide it is your turn.